Kia ora. Hi, everyone. I think we'll make a start. It's great to have you all join us for this week's AUT International Partner Seminar Series. Welcome. We are pleased and delighted to have Professor Sharon Mazer and Helen Swear with us today with a presentation from AUT School of Language and Culture. But before I move on to Sharon and Helen, I would just like to give a brief introduction, some general updates, and also some housekeeping matters. Just go to the next slide. My name is Jacqueline Lim, and I'm the Learning Abroad Manager at AUT. The Learning Abroad team looks after the AUT Study Abroad and Exchange programs. If you would like to find out more about these programs, please join me on the 30th of June Partner Seminar session, or feel free to send me an email. My email and the relevant web pages are on the screen here. A couple of general updates. New Zealand is in alert level 2. It's our 20th day in that level. We are proud to say that it is our 11th day without having any COVID-19 cases. We'd like to share with you that AUT now accepts IELTS indicator and TOEFL home edition scores. And our full list of courses are available online for our offshore students. I will share the website with you in the chat screen. And just some housekeeping matters. We would please request for you to keep muted on your Zoom. And please feel free to put your questions in the chat box. We will try to answer them during the presentation or after with a Q&A session. Okay, without further ado, we would like to introduce Professor Sharon Mazer. Sharon is the head of school for the School of Language and Culture in the Faculty of Culture and Society. I understand Sharon is also a professor of theatre and performance studies here at AUT. We also have Helen Swear, who is the school registrar, who will be with us throughout the presentation to go through your questions. So I'll give the floor to Sharon and Helen. I will unshare my screen now. Sharon, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Well, we're just going to change over screens so that I can share my screen instead. Welcome to this meeting. This is, oh my goodness, look at everyone. It's a moment, that wonderful moment where everybody appears. We're still, of course, mostly teaching online, but we're hoping to be back on campus very soon as we progress from level 2 to level 1 and relax our restrictions. We're very fortunate to be in New Zealand where the controls on the spread of the virus came down fairly quickly and effectively. So New Zealand remains a very safe place for you and your students once the borders, of course, are opened again, which they're also working on. And I have to confess, a new head of school. So this is my first public presentation as head of school. I took office, if you will, I assumed the role on the 1st of April after we went into lockdown. So I've been mostly managing the school remotely for the last 2 months, and I'm still learning the ropes myself. So if I stumble in the presentation, it's because I'm learning as I go. And I'm really excited to be able to share the strengths and opportunities of my new school with you. Do feel free to ask questions, use the chat line. Jacqueline or Helen will pick up on that, and you can also use the wave function if you feel free to do that, and I'm happy to take questions that allow me to take a breath and to think about what information I can give you that is most useful for your purposes. So while I'm presenting from our purposes, I'm really welcoming questions and requests for clarification or just observations. So we'll all learn this one together. Thank you. Here we go. So the school, yes, I'm okay. Yes, we're visible. The School of Language and Culture is like AUT, as with the rest of AUT, committed to world-class research, informed teaching. We have a number of amazing teachers who have won awards, but many more who haven't won awards but are amazing nonetheless. We are lucky to have small classes. We have a commitment to work integrated learning, which means that students have the best access to teachers, but they also have access to real life, real world work experiences. And I believe that the student support system at AUT is amazing. It's like, it's the best of any of the universities I've been at. I think that our student support services are the most committed, smart, and generous people I've ever seen. And even more so now that we've gone online for our teaching. They have been really worked miracles with our students who've had to switch very quickly to remote learning. So I cannot commend this university enough for these basic values. Within my faculty, which basically represents arts and humanities kinds of curriculum within the university, we have a number of programs from the languages, these languages at the pre-degree level, transitional programs. I'll go through this in more detail as we go through the slides going forward. But just as an overview, we have pre-degree programs which allow for transition into university study. They're especially good for people who are making the transition also into study in English. We have a wonderful suite of majors and minors in the Bachelor of Arts, and the flexibility so that students can major in one thing and minor in another, or work across faculties for their degrees. We have postgraduate certificates and diplomas. We have master's degrees, and we have, of course, the gold standard of all gold standards, the PhD in these areas of interest. So there's a huge amount of opportunity in our school and very dedicated staff delivering this curriculum, delivering these degrees. The PhD. So for students, this is something that we relish. We relish PhD students coming to us from all sorts of home environments, home cultures, from, to take up these areas of interest. We think that it's the opportunity to develop research collectively and in ways that are powerful, that not only for the student coming from somewhere else into this culture and learning here, but also for us being exposed to those conversations and feeding those conversations as students return home. The PhD is generally, excuse me a moment, is generally 3 years full time. It does have an IELTS requirement, of course, because the thesis is to be written in English. And some of the areas of interest here range from language teaching and learning, including online learning, which is on all of our minds at the moment, academic literacies, discourse analysis, new media studies, intercultural studies, interpreting and translation. We have the only programs in interpreting and translation in New Zealand. It's really an interesting field. We have a huge lot of energy in creative writing, transmedia, storytelling, gaming, narrative kinds of space. We have literature, and we have my own specialty, theater and performance studies. So there's a lot of room for prospective students to navigate between these disciplines, to combine in a way that will allow them to have expert supervision, but also pursue their specific interests in the way that they wish, in ways that may be interdisciplinary as well. All right, so.
Sharon, sorry to interrupt. Is it possible to put it on full screen?
Yes, I can. I can do that. I'll just lose. Everybody will have to forgive me while I'm surprised by the next slide as we go each time.
Thank you.
I'm happy to do that. Here we go. That better?
Yeah, thank you.
I do get surprised, that means, so bear with me. All right.
No problem at all.
Oh, I have a little bit of an advantage here, but it's a challenge. You should see me teaching online. It's quite fun. All right. That's how it's a generational thing. Okay. So the Master of Language and Culture and has also the opportunity for a postgraduate certificate or postgraduate diploma. This is probably our most flexible and versatile master's degree because it allows students to come in from the areas of interest that are listed here and to sort of expand those interests in a way that makes sense. It might be meaningful for them and to progress through fairly efficiently. There's a lot of room from the most practical sort of language teaching kinds of and interpreting kinds of things to policy analysis and educational management kinds of things. There's lots that a student can do with this degree, and I think it's a really important degree because it does reinforce the way that we're all citizens of the world and the way we need to be functional and effective to be citizens of the world. So a Master of Language and Culture is really a wonderful degree to be able to do. I'm really interested in it myself. All right. The Master, sort of from that most practical appearing degree to the sort of maybe not so practical appearing degree, the Master of English and New Media Studies. So that is quite a wonderful degree in terms of its potential both to achieve practical outcomes. You can go into advertising, for example, or be a game designer with a degree like this. You get the training that you need to be fluent and flexible in the technology, but also the dramaturgy, if you will, of these forms. But you also get a chance to explore sort of more intellectual topics, more thoughtful topics about how stories are made and how they're told. So I'm a big fan of this degree. This is my new school. I can be a fan. This degree, I think, for students is a real opportunity, especially if they're not sure if they want to find a way to transition into a career path, or indeed they want to study further into PhD terrain. This gives them sort of that middle zone where they can explore the way narratives are constructed, the way games are constructed, the way stories are told, but also have a hands-on practical way of exploring those things. So again, a really good degree for those things. Masters of Creative Writing, a more intensive focus on the way one tells a story or represents a kind of culture or engages in a popular culture kind of way, Master of Creative Writing. So we have lots of poetry projects, we have novels being written. It's a really exciting, we have screenwriting, script writing kinds of activities going on with the Master of Creative Writing. Is very project-centered with a focus on skilled professionals giving advice as well. So that the mentorship by writers who are themselves well-published and excited about the work that they're doing is a real benefit there. But again, we sort of veer between, you can see that the school really has this range from the very pragmatic sort of areas of study and expertise to the more theoretical, if you will. So from English and New Media, Creative Writing, to Professional Language Studies, which would qualify someone as a language teacher and give them that leg up in their careers. I think that our language teachers are very much focused on the process of language teaching. So they are skilled language teachers themselves, but they're also skilled in the theory and practice of language teaching in a way that really supports the development of language teaching skills and the thoughtfulness that's needed to be successful as a language teacher. All right, so those are the master's degrees and the PhD sort of suite of areas of study. I'm going to take a small breath and give you an opportunity if you have a question about those postgraduate degrees before I plunge right into the Bachelor of Arts.
Okay, we do have a question on the PhD. It says, oh, will an applicant who studied and taught in the role of a lecturer in English expected to present IELTS results for a PhD application?
Helen probably knows the answer to that better than I do. I believe that one has to, that we want both those things. We want evidence that you've worked in an English-speaking context and that you have formally qualified by the IELTS exam. Yes, Helen?
Yeah, if they have qualification from the English-speaking country, and we will look case by case, and we can waive the IELTS result requirement. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks. We shall move on.
All right. All right. Oh, what a beautiful area. The treehouse is a wonderful area in one of our big buildings where you can look out over the city as you study. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's one of the things coming from Christchurch to Auckland and to AUT really appealed to me is that that students have these wonderful spaces to work together that have been very thoughtfully designed across the campus. And this one is a particular favorite because there's so much air there and this beautiful wood so that the building looks like a ship, you know, which is referencing our seafaring history, of course, but they also, and our nature more generally in New Zealand, but also that one can see the city there. So you have this sort of nature here and you have the city in front of us in both times. So it's really quite extraordinary view up there. I wish I had more time myself to be there. All right, so we have a number of majors. So a bachelor's degree at AUT is a 3-year degree program. In general, in the Bachelor of Arts, you pick a major and perhaps a minor, or you pick a major and another major, and you can double major, so you can work across several areas. And in fact, it's really powerful when you mix and match in those ways. So students can major in Chinese, Japanese, creative writing, English and New Media Studies, International Studies, Interpreting, and New Zealand Sign Language, and Deaf Studies, and New Zealand Sign Language, and English Interpreting. So those last 2 degrees, actually the last 3, are unique to AUT. Really, again, really powerful, really special. All bachelor students in the Bachelor of Arts have a work integrated learning experience, a work placement experience in their 3rd year, which allows them to get a leg up into the world at large, and is again very very powerful opportunity, I think. So here are some of the things that people do, students do here, the way that they combine. So they'll do a bachelor's degree in Japanese and a parallel bachelor's degree in international hospitality management, or oddly enough, and I have seen a number of these, Bachelor's of Arts in Creative Writing and a Criminology degree. That sounds like fun. You can write murder mysteries. Or a Bachelor of Arts with a Bachelor of Business as a conjoint degree, which would be, again, if you have that language skill and you're taking a business degree at the same time, a really powerful opportunity for students. Similarly, going between the Bachelor of Arts and a law degree, or the Bachelor of Arts in International Studies and the Bachelor of Arts in Social Sciences, or supplementing a bachelor degree in engineering with a language as an elective or as a minor, so that you get that balance as well. So there are lots of ways to mix and match for students. There's a lot of flexibility, allows them to zero in on what they really want to do and how they might want to do it. All right, so obviously a bachelor's degree in Chinese studies would be a very powerful thing in this day and age. And here also we have a beautiful view of where are we in this view? Oh, the world is in front of the students, and I'm not in the world myself. All right, so obviously the potential of a degree in Chinese is really, I think, probably more obvious than not. There is an exchange possible with Taiwan, and again, it pairs beautifully with other majors. And there have been a lot of students who've gone on to the kinds of careers that are listed below. Creative writing, we have the only undergraduate program in creative writing, which I think is a great opportunity for students who want to work that way. They are given a context and the opportunity to study literature as well as producing their own writing. So they're not just writing out of whole cloth, but they actually have some literary context as well as a social context to work. They get to work with established writers, which I think is a really important thing in creative writing. And while, you know, nobody necessarily sells their first novel straight out of the bat, and nobody sells their first novel out of a creative writing degree necessarily, it is a step into that industry and a step into a lot of other kinds of careers, including web content management and development and management, including working in social media areas and so on. So there are lots of possibilities there. And it's a chance for students to pursue their passion at the undergraduate level as well. This degree, the creative writing degree and the English and New Media Studies degrees are closely linked. So that's where one gets the chance to undertake a context or develop a context for creative writing, or in English and New Media Studies, a chance to practice creative writing while studying more deeply into the theories and practices of literature, of game making, digital storytelling, and so on, communications. And I think is a very important and empowering sort of kind of study for students. This is as close to a generic English bachelor's degree that one can get, that also has a very contemporary, very up-to-date kind of idea of what that study of literature and storytelling and other media more widely can give us. So from publicity, public relations, marketing kinds of things, to advertising, to a whole range of careers in arts and culture, and indeed teaching English or producing one's own games. This is very flexible, this degree, with a lot of opportunity for students. International studies draws on, I think, the other disciplines that are available. So the languages, the intercultural competency courses, draws on, goes across disciplines in that way, and allows students to focus, really to look at the world and to face the world in a way that, with the tools that they need to be successful. Japanese studies, like Chinese studies, really practical, but also really a sense of the cultural frame and opportunities to live and work overseas, and an opportunity to supplement another major or minor in a way that makes the student more marketable and allows the student to follow his or her passion successfully. Majoring in interpreting or translation in that program is perhaps sort of the coalface of all those other studies. It allows the students to sort of step into really exciting careers in ways that are not necessarily available. And the preparation that this program provides is hugely distinctive. It's not offered elsewhere in New Zealand. It's not usually offered elsewhere. To study interpreting directly to achieve certification in translation or interpreting is a really a vital leg up and a really necessary function in today's world. They have the lectures in this area specialize, for example, in translation and interpreting in health and legal contexts, but also in business more generally, and a whole range of opportunities there. Our graduates from this program are standing right next to the Prime Minister and other officials, government officials, translating even now every day as we discuss, as we find out every day what our status is in the current pandemic. Our graduates are the only people, are the people doing that work. This is an incredible opportunity to learn, not only to learn New Zealand Sign Language, but to become a fluent interpreter. Is a great opportunity for students and a great service to the community and to our society. And I think, I may be wrong, Helen probably correct me, I do believe that New Zealand Sign Language is not so different to American Sign Language or British Sign Language or the other sign languages, that some of the skills developed by learning this specific sign language cannot be transferred across as well. And I think that's important to recognize. All right. There are a handful of minor, every major can be taken as a minor, and there are some other minors available as well within this school, and they are quite, they extend the students' reach and the students' ability to develop a platform from which to be successful when they leave the university. And there are a wide number of electives regardless, and things that one can study regardless, including a summer school course in Korean that I believe, Helen, we're planning for it to be entirely online. Yes? One can study Samoan as well. So a full range of courses that can be taken in that way. Work integrated learning, we work very hard to find places for students to explore their opportunities and their options and their potential as workers. So we support them into places, we keep an eye on them, we make sure that the connection between what they're learning in their classroom is transferable into the workplace and that they can be successful in that way. And often, as you know, when someone has an internship or a working integrated learning experience, that often leads to those promising students being given a place when they graduate. So it's the best leg up that a university can give a student, is work experience that has the potential to lead to a job at the other end, especially in an unstable world such as the one we're in now. Here are some of the places that people have worked, that students have worked, and that you can see the range of opportunities in that, and how from publishers to government organizations to foundations and other associations. I think that's, and activist organizations, Greenpeace, and so on. Right now, in fact, during the, while we're in lockdown and while we're dealing with the current crisis where employers and employment are less certain, we've organized for them to have their work integrated learning experiences as part of volunteer organizations serving the community, which is also really important and profoundly powerful, I think, in students' experiences. This can change their lives, that work experience. It can really change their lives. All right, taking a deep breath while we look at this slide. Do we have some questions that I need to answer?
No questions so far. Helen has been good in answering them in the chat box. Oh,
brilliant, Helen. Thank you. I love that chat box. That chat box is my saving grace as a lecturer. All right, so we do have some pre-degree programs which are there to help students transition into the degree properly, or to provide students with certificates and diplomas that will enable them to qualify for other forms of employment or further study, whether at AUT or elsewhere. And these are focused on the use of the English language, really getting students in a position where they can embark in an English language degree program with sort of strength and power, if you will. We maintain connections with a wide range of universities with a great deal of opportunities for students. These are the formal exchanges that we have. We are certainly open, I'm sure, to developing informal agreements should a student desire it. And I think that kind of thing is hugely important and hugely necessary for students to know that if they're coming to New Zealand, they can also leave New Zealand and go into the world as part of that educational experience. And finally, we have a visiting scholar program, which I'm really fascinated with here. If this allows someone who is an academic already, or who's a teacher already, or in some position to take advantage of this opportunity, to come to AUT to spend a semester or a year in residence at AUT, to participate in master's or undergraduate courses, to attend symposia, to participate in research groups and to engage in those conversations. So to develop a program of study, if you will, and a program of exchange and conversation collaboration, to find those opportunities here at AUT, and to use that time to perhaps retune, reflect, to be able to say at the other end of the day, I was a visiting scholar at, and to use that to advance their careers in their home countries, and to build their own academic potential. So I really like this because there's not a degree attached to it, but there is the kind of experience that one might want as a mid-career lecturer or a mid-career teacher in some way. This is the kind of thing that would really appeal to someone looking to upskill, to reorient, to deepen one's knowledge in a specific area, and to come here. There are fees attached to that, but that provides for the access to the space, the library, and the other resources that the university provides. And those are very modest, I think, for the value that they offer. So that's the final program that I think is really important and necessary, and also just really cool, because if this, this is something that someone like me might want to do, just to reorient, to think about, to do a deep dive into, I don't know, translation theory, and to do that here with people who are specialists in that area, so that I can reorient myself, perhaps think about going on to a PhD, but without the obligation to prove something at the other end, a chance to have that conversation in an academic environment in a way that is profound, and to be able to be in New Zealand, COVID-free, and in this beautiful country, and to explore this country at the same time. So we shouldn't forget that this is a beautiful, sometimes it's hard when you've been in lockdown, but this is a beautiful country. It's a beautiful place for someone to sort of come, reassess their own careers, develop connections, and think about how best to move forward. So whether you're an undergraduate looking for a good winter ski program, or a postgraduate looking for a place to, or an academic already looking for a place to dive deeply into a topic with very skilled colleagues, there's also that whole world outside the doors of the university to explore, a great city set into a great natural environment right at the edge of everything. It's really quite brilliant. All right, so I'm happy to answer questions or to debate the relative merits of New Zealand and other countries.
Thank you there, Sharon. You really sold the visiting scholar program. There's a question. It says, how do I apply to the visiting scholar program?
Helen,
unmute myself. I can email you the information. From the memory, the bench fee is about 14,000 a year. 13, 15, yeah, something like that. But if you can email me, I will give you more information.
Cool, thanks for that, Helen. It's a really informational presentation. Actually, it highlights lots of important skills that we could introduce to the students, such as, learning another language, translating, interpreting. But my personal favorite is criminology because I love murder mysteries.
I have a lovely class at the first year class, which is focused on singing at the moment, which is hard to do when you're all on Zoom, but is about singing for social justice. But a good third of the students actually are really interested in psychology or criminology as their majors, and so that's quite an interesting. That was just fascinating when I told these students, and what are you actually interested in doing with your degrees when you go from this paper, this introductory experience, into more formal university study? What are you wanting to do? And that criminology, really, they light up for that. I think, too much CSI, kinds of Criminal Minds kind of stuff floating around. All those cop shows really get to you after a while. But I'd be tempted if I were young.
There's not much questions here, but I would like to take the opportunity to thank Sharon and Helen for the informational presentation. Helen's contact details is on the screen there in case you want to contact her for more information after this. And also this session is recorded, so we will be sending out the recorded session for you to have a look at and review. Any final comments there, Sharon, Helen, before we sign off?
Well, I'll teach you how to applaud in sign language, which I just love.
Yeah.
Well, we all have to turn out.
You don't have to turn your mic on to do it. You can just go like this, which is what we get our students to do when we're having them in class right now with their mics off.
Oh, cool.
Thank you all for your patience and your good questions.
Thank you very much. You all have a good afternoon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.